Hello, I'm Paul Spruzzi. I'm the programming director for the Mammoth Film Festival. Here with our short film directors. So excited to meet everyone. I guess we'll just get started with having everyone introduce themselves. I guess maybe I could do it through the Thad. Do you want to say hello?
Yeah, I can't see you. My name is Thad Lee, and I'm directed the film "All That You Love Will Be Carried Away." It's a adaptation of a Stephen King short story from the same name from a book called "Everything's Eventual." And thank you so much for not only taking the film in, but for being so generous in every step of the way. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to have it screened again. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Alex Rafi.
Hi, I'm Alex Rafi. I directed the short documentary On Task. And yeah, I'd like to kind of echo Thad's sentiments. Thank you so much for accepting the film and screening it, regardless of what's going on in the world. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. It's great to have you here. Bryan Lee.
Hello. I'm Bryan, and I directed the animated film Cage Match. Once again, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see who else we've got here. Portlynn Tagavi.
Hi. Hey, yeah, I'm Portlynn Tagavi. I am the writer-director for my short film, They Won't Last.
Great. And Sara Bourdeau.
Hello, my name is Sara. I'm from Montreal. I'm the director of ROSALINE Like in the Movie. And I might be disturbed by a puppy. I'll try to keep it quiet, but he's there.
Totally fine. And Yesel.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Yesel Enrique, and I'm part of the group that put together Cabin Stories. And thanks so much for having us on this fest. It's been a blast.
Yeah, for sure. So Yesel, let's start with you since we showed your film first. Tell us a little bit about how did you guys come up with this concept? We talked to you a little bit yesterday with your other cabin story, but
sure, yeah. So for those that didn't see yesterday, I'm part of a sketch comedy group called Private Street. We've been together for like 9 years. We met at Upright Citizens Brigade, and we haven't been doing as many live shows lately, so we've been trying to shoot stuff. So we rented a cabin for a weekend, and we wrote 8 sketches, and we only shot 7 of them, and Free Solo was one of them. And Free Solo is the brainchild of one of the other members of Private Street, David Brown, and he had just finished watching that documentary, Free Solo. And the whole gimmick on this one is like, what would a bunch of Free Solo friends do in the cabin? Probably just climb stuff around the house. So we wrote it one way, and it was too crazy even the way we wrote it. So we actually were not gonna put this sketch out. We were gonna trash it because we didn't know what to do with it. And David Brown, shout out to him. He was the editor on this, and he came up with the concept as well. And he kept going, and he found something, and it's really wild. It's really crazy, but we like where it ended up.
So funny. So what was the original concept?
Well, it was basically the same, but there was a lot more talking in terms of the specifics of what we were doing and like matching it with the action and like doing the stuff. It just wasn't, it was taking too long to get to the joke. So we had to really like slam that down with editing.
Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, it sure came together. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
Let's see. Okay, let's say hi to Portlynn. Portlynn, wow, what a fun short.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the writing's amazing, and your actors are fantastic. Can you tell us about both like the process of writing it and then casting, working with your actors?
Yeah, no, I think it was kind of funny because after having written it, I had been working with like various actors in like workshops at school because I made this film as a thesis project at AFI. And like, it really was like, depending on the actor that I was working with, it was just so different. Like some actors would play it really serious, or some actors would play it like overly comedic, and it just like, it wasn't really working. And then when we were casting, for thesis, it was my first time ever using a casting director, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like the first person we saw was Jack DeSena for the role of Alex, and I was like, oh well, there's a whole list of actors, like, you know, like if he's the first one, there's got to be like somebody, like what is this crop of amazing talent? And I was like, no, he's the best one. This is the best. This is great. Oh my god. And same with Brittany. I was just like how did I get so lucky? But no, it was a really great experience to work with them and to like be able to work with talent that you knew you could trust and that you knew would really bring what you had written to life. And even in you know, writing it, I was really inspired by the rhythmic kind of back and forth and banter that I had seen. Like I grew up on Gilmore Girls, and I love Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I had watched and rewatched season 1 of Mrs. Maisel like so many times. And my favorite things about Amy Sherman Palladino's writing is like sometimes people aren't even listening to each other; they're just like talking and they're not listening, and like people like say things to hurt each other, but by not listening you get a joke because they're so wrapped up in their other thing. So it was really kind of fun to do the research about like how to get that right rhythm, and also, you know, how to have everything happen in one space. We watched my team and I watched a lot of like we watched Scenes from a Marriage, which is not funny, and then we watched like When Harry Met Sally, which is actually, they watched Scenes from a Marriage to make When Harry Met Sally, and you know, like the Before series by Richard Linklater, like all these different inspirations. Kind of, it was kind of nice that it came together in a way that, you know, I feel like we did our best to take those inspirations and like express them on screen. And having the actors that we had, Brittany and Jack, I didn't have to tell them anything. Like I did, but like not really, you know? Yeah.
I got it. Yeah. So I mean, the writing and performances are so strong. Was that, did you find anything in the editing that you weren't expecting, or was it just kind of like bringing it to life?
Oh, I'm so sorry. You cut off a little bit. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah. No, I'll repeat it. I was just wondering if there was anything that you found in the editing that was unexpected, or was the editing just getting the rhythm right?
It was getting the rhythm right. I actually come from a background of storyboarding and animation, and like a lot of the time, you like in animation you can't do things in it. I mean, you can, I guess, but you really have to plan everything and make the movie before you make the movie. And I did as much as possible on this film to kind of like, I storyboarded it, a lot of it. I worked with my cinematographer. We like went to the location a bunch of times, and actually shot out the rough of the entire movie on like an iPhone, and then edited it, and then had the actors come, and we blocked it with them like a couple days before we even had anyone on set. And so kind of going to the editing room, it was funny because when we did our mad dash to edit, we were doing as much as we could possible to like keep it to the boards or like what was initially planned. But when things weren't working, it wasn't even like changing shots as much as it was just changing the pace. And it was just like such a like an example for me of like how literally if something is just a second off, it's not funny. So a lot of that stuff, it was like it was all there, and then we just need to tighten it to make it better. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. And speaking of animation, let's talk to Bryan Lee, and can you tell us a little bit about what inspired Cage Match originally? Are you an office worker?
Not quite. But I did go to school. Not exactly the same, I guess. But yeah, this was actually my graduating film during my time at USC, and the idea kind of just came as I was riding the elevator one day, and I don't know, just these different random thoughts that you have as you go about your daily life, just questioning, you know, man, am I really doing what I want to be doing right now? Is this, you know, like, where is this all headed to? And for me, I think that kind of nugget of an idea is where it all started. And I just really enjoy playing around with, you know, the surreal and the absurd. And so kind of bringing that in to the world of Cage Match. And then just kind of playing around with that idea. Just, just what can one elevator ride experience contain? And I had a lot of close friends actually who were able to help me out. Like the voice actor for my film was actually my high school friend and whatnot. And just when I was making it, I knew he would be perfect for it because, I mean, in high school we played a lot of games together and whatnot. So I got to hear the range in which his voice can go. And so I knew from there, like, man, like this guy, he has it. And so, yeah, just like piecing together these different elements was really fun. And yeah, I mean, and I guess that's kind of just what it was.
Yeah. So did you do the soundtrack entirely first, or were you kind of like doing both the sound and the drawing at the same time?
It definitely was a lot of back and forth. I think from the get-go, I had an idea of what I wanted the sound to be like, where it was organic and voice acted for the most part. And the funny story actually about the dialogue is we recorded it all in one night, actually, in one take, because it was due, because again, this was a school project. So I had to turn something in. So we ended up doing it, but the energy that night, kind of just having to turn something in, actually helped with my voice actor. And what ended up happening too was the dialogue ended up being a lot longer than I had intended. The original length of my film was supposed to be 3 minutes. But as you can see, it ended up being 9 minutes because of the dialogue. And again, just all of it was just so like I think he captured the essence of what I was going for. And so I didn't want to lose any of it. And so that played into kind of me reworking some of the ideas in my film and extending scenes, reusing certain shots, and just kind of playing around with the overall story. And hey, I mean, I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for sharing it with us. Much fun. So let's move on to Sara Bourdeau. Let's tell us a little bit about ROSALINE. Like you've really played with our perceptions of, are we seeing the movie, or are we seeing the movie within the movie? And what was the writing of this piece like?
But at first it's a short story wrote by the actress, and so it was an adaptation to make it a movie. And in the short story, the actress just found out who's his adopted son. So I wanted to make it more film-like. So that's how I put the fact that the actress was on a set, and the reality and her past are mixing up. So that was the challenge for me to do it, and what was with the interest in it, like how to, without confusing the spectator, how do you mix reality and fiction into a fiction? So it was hard to write many versions because people were confused, and even on set, people were, is that the reality part or is that the fiction part? So that was the confusion. But I think when you watch the film now, it's really clear.
I was pleasantly confused. I loved it. All of a sudden it turned around and I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
What about, so it's so beautifully shot. How did you choose to shoot in black and white, and what were the challenges of cinematography?
Yeah, I don't know if for the other director, but for me it was a kind of fantastic to shoot a film about filmmaking. You know, it's like American Night of François Truffaut. So it's like making those films about set. So it was like for sure that it has to be black and white because it's the first medium of film. And we play with that, and we use the CinemaScope, and the film needed to be very glamorous because it's about an actress. And there's this double thing about it. especially here in Quebec, because the actress is well-known actress here. So watching the film, and it's confusing, like the fact that she's a big actress here and the role she played in the thing. So I use everything that reminds us of what we like about film and what's the color of old cinema and this thing.
Oh yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your. Did you say the actress wrote the short story?
Yeah, she's also a writer. She wrote a lot, and I have worked with her on another project. And she approached me and the producer to adapt her film into a story into a film. So it was a bit touchy in the same time because it was her story and she was the actress. So I had to play on did she like this version of the script and keep moving in the same time as having my signature and my voice in it. So that was the
So she was
blend.
happy with it, though? She's happy with the final film?
Yeah, I think she's happy. I think I've put maybe more on my rocker side than maybe she would have liked something more soft and sweet, and I had my little things in it. But yeah, she's very happy, and we have a good reaction. And no, I think it's good. Yeah.
Great.
But it's hard. I'm not sure I will do it again. Like adapt a story from the actress who played in your film. It was amazing, but as a creator who always wrote her story, I found it sometimes limiting.
Yes. Well, beautiful work.
Thank you.
For sharing it. Okay, Alex Rafi, tell us a little bit about your documentary. What a great subject, and I guess for me, just what came across is someone that just so loves their job. I guess what was your impression of the actor or the of the subject of your film? I guess besides what we saw on camera.
Yeah, absolutely. So mine was also a school project. So hearing Portlynn and Bryan kind of talk about the kind of stress of doing things under certain deadlines kind of resonated a lot with me. So I actually knew the subject of my film, Eric, beforehand. We went to the same undergrad, and this was the third film in my MFA and documentary program. And after 2 films of being like, I don't have enough time to meet people, I don't have enough time to get to know them to make a film, I was like, I want to do a film about teachers. I was a teacher. Do I know any teachers? I reached out to one of my mentors, and they were like, oh yeah, reach out to him. He lives in the area. Like, he's had some specific struggles, but he loves the job. I'm like, yes, I like it. So we connected. We sat over coffee, and like, yeah, I mean, I always knew he was a very like expressive person, but to see that translated into the classroom, and for him to be just so open with his students and also open with me, because I feel like he hadn't really been able to talk with anyone about teaching without feeling like he's getting judged, because talking to your colleagues, you might get judged. Talking to me, we had similar experiences, so he opened up in that way, and I think that comfort with me also translated to the film itself. So he was probably more worried about some things than others, but I think at the end of the day, he kind of trusted that I wasn't gonna put him out there and make him look bad. And it's a fun film, and he's a fun person, so I think I was able to lean into his personality in the editing as well.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, it felt like the sort of rapid fire editing really mirrored his kind of intense, or just like quick-witted and moving personality. Did you find that editing in the process, or were you planning that up front?
So yeah, I was going into the process sort of with the idea of cutting around the rhythms of the school day in the classroom and that. But I think in the edit, there were a couple of different iterations of the montages and the editing. And it really started working when I leaned into like these moments of him saying something witty or reacting in a very physical and like expressive way. Yeah, so once I kind of hit on that language, it kind of all worked throughout the school day and kind of lined up and became even more punchy than I originally was intending it to be.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Really great work.
Thank you.
So let's move on to Thad Lee. Thanks for being with us. And so this is obviously a Stephen King story that you adapted, and it seems like a really ambitious production. What was it like? I guess just bringing it all together.
I had been in school. I was finishing up an MFA in screenwriting, and it was just time to make a film. I hadn't made a film in probably 6 or 7 years, and so I was really just itching just to get behind the camera and shoot something. So it was an ambitious project, but at the time, like I don't know, when I got the rights to the story, I just said I was just going to finish this thing no matter what. And so when I look back on it, like it took probably 2 years to finish it, which is a long time for a short film to take. But you know, the film itself took place over 7 years of time in the story itself, and so I wanted to give the actors time to kind of age a little bit. So there was a 6 months break between the first part of the movie and the second part, so my guy could kind of get out of shape in a cinematic way. And so and just other parts, you know, the film was set during a Motel 6 in Nebraska during a blizzard. And I was living in New Orleans when I got the rights to the story, and I live in Mississippi now where my wife is. And all the people I knew that were going to be in it and work on it live around Oxford and Memphis. And so there was a time where I was trying really to take everybody with me to Nebraska to shoot in the dead of winter. But for a short film, it just seemed a little absurd because part of the reason I got this film is called A Dollar Baby, and you can't make any money off it. You get the rights to the story, and you know, you can make the story, but you can't sell it. And so in the end, we really had to just kind of I had to trust Matthew Graves, who's a really good cameraman that used to work for the university here. He lives in South Carolina now, but he's really good with just digital effects. And we shot in Clarksdale, Mississippi, the bulk of it, and this really flat Nebraska light. And I just kind of had to trust that he could make this blizzard happen in Mississippi. And it was cold here. We shot in February, the blizzard parts, but he really made it look great. Like I just had to give him so much credit. Like it was all shot in Mississippi.
That's incredible, Mississippi for Nebraska.
Yeah, no.
Tell us, really great cast. What was the casting process like? What was it like working with your actors?
Well, I knew the two main actors. I'd known Reese Lau for a long time. He and I lived in Los Angeles from 1997 to 2003. And he and I went to the same acting class in Hollywood there, and we worked at the same California Pizza Kitchen in Studio City. So I knew him well, and he'd always been going on these auditions the whole time I knew him. He was booking jobs, and he'd just been a really good professional actor for a long time. And now he lives where I live. He's married, and he teaches acting classes here in town. And I just knew that he could do it. He'd actually been a traveling salesman for a while when he first got back here for a food company. And that's the occupation of the character in the King story. So I knew that he could bring that to it. And Johnny McPhail is just this incredible local talent. Like he didn't become an actor until he was probably 60. He worked at a trailer park that he ran and stuff like that. And so anyway, he started getting cast in all these TV shows like True Detective and all these great movies like Ballast. And he has like this great presence, and he lives here. And I just had this, the problem I had with adapting the story was that if you read the story, it all takes place in one night, and it's really narrator heavy. Like there's really not a whole lot of dialogue. It's all pretty much backstory. It's about a guy who's had a real rough go of life, and he's planning on shooting himself in a Motel 6. And as he's about to go through with it, you kind of just get, flashes of his experiences, but it's all through the narrator. And so if you just went to film what was in the story itself, it'd pretty much just be a guy sitting on a bed with a gun surrounded by voiceover. And it just didn't seem very cinematic. And so I just kind of created another character to be kind of like all the things that King, the narration was beautiful. It was really good. And I didn't want to lose that, but I didn't want to have just a ton of voiceover. So I created Johnny to kind of be an extension of the main character's consciousness, who would kind of give us that rich interior without having just it to be thoughts bouncing around the room. It was something he could actually interact with and give him something to play against. And so I think it worked out well. I look forward to seeing what Stephen King thinks about it.
Yeah. Congratulations on opening it up that way. I'm curious, actually, that scene at the beginning where the woman doesn't want to do business with someone with dyed hair. Is that in the story?
No, that's not in the story. I just was thinking about I was just thinking about a salesman. You know, he'd been a salesman. In the backstory, you learn he used to sell like grocery store scanners, and he got I wanted to create an origin story for the Notebook, which is a big part of the story, and I wanted to kind of just have one fell swoop of what it can be like to have a bad day in the life of a salesman when you're not just rejected for your product, but he was personally rejected. It was a good chance to kind of show just what salesmen have to deal with sometimes, but with just rudeness and just condensation. but anyway, I just wanted to show a day in the life of the salesman, and I wanted to create that origin story for the Notebook. And anyway, Johnny's wife, Susan McPhail, who plays the Five a Dime, the store owner, if you watch it, she's incredible. And she's been picking up lots of big roles in big movies left and right. And it's just so wild because if you read about their story, Johnny started getting these roles just out of nowhere, and he would take his wife on set with him. And now she's starting to get more roles than he is. They're just incredible natural actors, just God-given, just pure talent, and they just steal every scene they're in. And I'm just so lucky that they're within range for me to grab down here, you know? Like I got very lucky.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on improving on a Stephen King
I don't know if it's improved or not. I do know that there are other versions of this that I have seen. Not seen the whole thing because I've seen clips of them, and they are pretty much all just a salesman in a hotel room with a voiceover. I'm like, I'm so glad we didn't go that route. So
yeah, no, I mean that scene. I thought that scene was incredible. Congratulations. We have one question from the audience about the graphics. Is that a real hotel chain, or did you create all the graphics for the film?
No, I tried to get Motel 6 to cooperate. I really wanted Motel 6 for real. And so I went to every Motel 6 between Pine Bluff, Arkansas and Pulaski, Tennessee, which is about 12 hours. And because it had to match up with a farmhouse, because he's looking, if you read the story, this guy's life depends on whether or not he sees a light on across a field during a blizzard. And so I had to have a hotel that had a field next to it. And so there was one in Tennessee that did. And the owner there wanted me to come in and rent 10 rooms for a week. They were all for it. But I tried to get Motel 6 to let us shoot there, but they were pretty tough to deal with. And so my wife is an artist, and so Motel 6 became Hotel 7. And she created a fantastic logo that any motel chain would be proud to have. So I got very lucky with her talent and her mercy on me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Thad, and thank you all so much for participating, for showing up for this Q&A. It's been really great talking to you all, and yeah, please come back to our other events. We got our disco party tomorrow night, and for anyone who's watching, yeah, come back for more shorts. We have another shorts program coming out this afternoon, and that's all for right now.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
job,
Thank
everyone.
you.
See ya.
Take care. Nice to meet y'all.